Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky back for the first time in 2023 with my plans and pans. Well, the year began in Washington not with a bang, but a whimper. I'm sorry to say. They were 4 pretty difficult days trying to choose a Speaker of the House. Now, let me just say that no one can really adequately replace Nancy Pelosi, who I believe will go down in history as the greatest speaker, the most effective speaker ever. But Kevin McCarthy began trying on Tuesday when we got to Washington, and we did not finish until really early morning on Saturday at about 2 o'clock in the morning. He set a new record in his effort to become Speaker of the House. It was over 100 years ago that we had a situation like this to go around and name all of the members of Congress. This time it took 15 rounds for him to finally coerce enough of his Republican colleagues to vote for him. Hakeem Jeffries, who was chosen by our Democratic caucus, actually at the end of last year, to be our leader, our Democratic leader, got 212 votes over and over again. Not one single Democrat had any qualms about voting proudly for Hakeem Jeffries. Well, so you can imagine it was, if it was stressful for you watching it on television or on C-SPAN, it was a bit stressful in Washington too, to lighten up a bit, especially for our new members on the Democratic side. They came with their families and their friends for a swearing-in ceremony that they thought was going to be happening on Tuesday. Of course, it didn't. And so I brought this enormous tub of Garrett popcorn. I bought it at the airport at O'Hare and carried it on my lap all the way to Washington, the very, very biggest amount that I could bring. Robin Kelly also brought some. And so I think people really did appreciate a moment of respite having one of the 3 different flavors of Garrett popcorn. But it really was quite a remarkable and historic scene. And one of the things that we're most concerned about is that what did Kevin McCarthy exactly promise to some of the insurrectionists, the people who basically supported what we saw on January 6th of 2 years ago? And we know that some of those things are going to be very difficult in having any kind of bipartisan work going forward. We know some of the concessions that McCarthy made. One is to say that only one member of the House of Representatives can call to recall the Speaker of the House. We'll see if that is actually going to happen and whether McCarthy can even fill out the 2 years that he's been elected as Speaker. Another concession we know that he made is to appoint some of the most far right. And let's remember, there were really only a handful of the Republicans who were stalling everything, but to allow them to be on major committees, like the Rules Committee, a committee that decides when and if a bill will be able to come to the floor and whether or not it has to have any debate whatsoever before it comes to a vote. We know that they have already talked about cutting Social Security and Medicare. And we know that they are reluctant to have the United States of America pay its debt in a timely way. They talk about it as raising the debt ceiling, but it's important, if you hear those words, to understand these are debts that have already been created. Money we have already spent. And it's so important that we cannot default on our debt when it's supposed to be paid. And that's going to be coming up very soon. And we are probably going to see that the speaker is going to leverage his opportunity to get all kinds of other concessions just to get him to pay the debts of the United States of America. But despite the challenges that the Democrats face, because the Republicans have the majority, a slim majority, 4 votes, that's all they have. They cannot lose more than 4 votes to get any bill passed. The Democrats are going to continue to fight for our priorities, for the things that the American people really care about, to protect Social Security and Medicare, to make sure that we are going to fight for the environment, to make sure that we're going to fight to lower the cost of prescription drugs. And we are going to fight for the right to vote, and we're never going to give up on reproductive rights. And we have some advantages called the President of the United States, Joe Biden, and a empowered Senate right now that has even one more member on the Democratic side. So we are not powerless. You are going to see the battles taking place. But let me also add, by and large, we have the American people on our side. The issues that we support are the popular issues by the American people. And so we're going to be calling on our advocates and our organizers to help us raise the voices that are going to make life better for everyday people. Well, on Friday, it was the second sad anniversary of the January 6th insurrection where our Capitol was attacked. And Democrats invited all of the members, Republicans and Democrats, to join us on the steps of the Capitol for a commemoration of that day, along with the families of the Capitol Police who died as a result. They were with us there. And they read out the names of their family members that died because of the insurrection, including some children, some little children who read the name of their family member who died. Only one Republican showed up to join us. And in some ways, it's not really a surprise because it's important to remember that the majority of the Republicans voted not to certify the President of the United States on that day that will go down in infamy. They said that they did not believe that Joe Biden was really elected president. And that effort was led by none other than Kevin McCarthy, who was the Republican leader at the time. So I am not all that surprised that they didn't show up on that day to commemorate and honor the people who were trying to protect us, who actually died. You know that I am, or was, the chair of the Consumer Protection Subcommittee. Hopefully I'll still be one of the leaders of that subcommittee. To let you know that Peloton, the fancy treadmill machine, was fined one of the largest amounts of money, $19 million, by the Consumer Product Safety Commission, who requires that if there is a flaw in a product, that it be presented to the Consumer Product Safety Commission. In the case of Peloton, one child actually died because of the flaw in the making, and dozens of others were injured. So our new wonderful chairman of the Consumer Product Safety Commission, Alex Hohn-Sarek, did wage this fine that Peloton is going to have to pay. But here's the bad news, and I'm hoping to change this, that right now that there is a section of the law, the Consumer Product Safety Law, it's called Section 6B, that says that companies can make the decision whether they will report a flaw to consumers, directly to consumers, that is a danger to them. No danger has to be reported to the public according to Section 6B. So in the last session of Congress, I penned a piece of legislation that would repeal Section 6B and require that a company tell people when there's something that could actually hurt them. So, these are the kinds of everyday things that I hope that we're going to be able to get back to, make improvements, and help the American people in big ways and in lesser but important ways. We have our work cut out for us. I'm looking forward to going back this week and seeing if we can get a rules package or if we can make any progress. In the meantime, I'm so proud of all of our new members that are there in Congress. We have a fantastic bunch, very diverse, younger, older, every race and religion and experience. They're very experienced, and I will be joining them and my returning colleagues this week, and we're going to try and get the job done for the American people. I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.